So my name is Lena Smart. I'm the CISO at MongoDB. Thank you for joining me today on a talk about the rise of the developer data platform. I only found out yesterday how big this place would be, and I feel it's like a bait and switch again. For those of you who saw me talk at Reinforce, it's kind of the same thing. I'm terrified and I can see your eyeballs, so please bear with me if I make any mistakes. So, I mean, it may seem a bit odd for a CISO to be on stage talking about the rise of a developer platform, but I'm not just an operational CISO, like a paper CISO, like some of you might have seen. I actually work very closely with our developers to help align security with our business and development needs. So I feel I'm probably qualified to be on stage and talk about this. And so the format's going to be, I'm going to stand up here and talk for a wee while. Put your hand up if you can't understand my accent, and I will slow it down and enunciate. And I was told at Reinforce I had to be effusive, and I said you can choose between enunciation or being effusive, so enunciation 1. I come from Glasgow in Scotland. I'm not Irish, I'm not South African, and I'm not Australian. 3 things I've been asked this week. I think all the people were drunk who asked me though, so that was okay. So the purpose of my talk today is to clearly define what I believe is the future of database technology, and that's the developer data platform. You're going to get your ideas to market faster with support for transactional search, analytics, and mobile use cases, and while using a common query interface and the data model that we know developers love. So 3 big things happened around 2007. Wow, that's bright with the white. By the way, if anyone ever asks you to do a talk and they're like, oh yeah, it'll be easy, you just stand there and everyone just listens, don't believe them. Make sure you get a raise first. So 3 things happened around 2007. AWS has already been founded in 2006 when they were first to market with a modern cloud infrastructure. And this changed the world as we knew it, changed my world anyway. I remember clearly while working in the power industry, I worked in various power plants for New York State, having discussions with my fellow geeks on the cloud. And we were trying to work out what is the cloud. And I think I won the prize at the party, the cloud party, for saying, well, it's just someone else's computer. And I don't really think that's changed. But then we really started to talk about, well, what could we use the cloud for? Bearing in mind this is the power industry, it's kind of the top of the list when it comes to critical infrastructure, because without power, not a lot else you can do in the world. And so not really, everyone wasn't as enthralled as I was. Putting SCADA, for example, on the cloud, maybe not a very good idea. Putting control systems on the cloud, maybe not a good idea. Of course, fast forward to 2009, you have Shodan, when we all saw all of the different power systems that were on the grid, internet-facing with no passwords. But that's a different talk. And as I looked around the room, about half the people in the room were basically assuming the fetal position because they saw where this was going. I was actually quite thrilled about it. I thought it would be quite interesting. And then, you know, I was talking about things like we could build a SOC and we could have a vertical and we could share information and all be friends. So, and actually some of that worked. So then a little startup called MongoDB was founded to address the shortcomings of existing relational databases. And our founders were developers themselves. And they understood the need for scalability and agility to build the next big thing. And so they started by building the best database. This is one which enabled high availability and horizontal scaling, whilst not being restricted to simple key or value retrieval. And this allowed for complex transactional updates, real data types, rich indexed queries by any field, and it included geospatial and text search capability. Try and say that with a Scottish accent. So I do have to mention here how much I enjoy the geospatial aspect of the software. When I was looking into whether I wanted to work for MongoDB or not, about 4.5 years ago, I went online and I saw what they did, and I saw that they were a database company and blah, blah, blah. And I noticed the geospatial feature and I thought, oh, that could be really interesting. And so I created a very simple database where I put a couple of latitude and longitude in for my pretend wind farm that I was building. And I just thought it was a really interesting use of geospatial. Then I met Karen Hualme, who you'll see in our panel in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and she will blow you away with her talk this afternoon. And I have to read this out. It's called 10 Things You Didn't Know Your Data Could Do For You. And it's today at 3:15 p.m. at Caesar's Palace. And she is an amazing speaker, and she's technically brilliant. And she'll show you a really interesting aspect of geospatial when it comes to using MongoDB. So finally, in 2007, the birth of the iPhone. And I'm sure I'm going to get every hand up here. Hands up who remembers their first iPhone. Yeah, it's like, I remember getting it. I was on a train going up to Boston to talk with some people at MIT, and I was like surreptitiously, not really, on the train like this, like standing about, just hoping somebody would say, is that an iPhone? And then someone caught my eye and they're like, is that an iPhone? I'm like, yeah, you want to see it? And that was the coolest thing. And there was just this explosion of data wrapped up in this gorgeously designed fondle slab, as they call it in the UK. And with the power of the world in your pocket and new applications popping up every moment, the data exploded on a larger scale than ever imagined. And so Amazon, MongoDB, and Apple would have an outsized impact on the world of data. And this was a pivotal moment for us, and we were truly just getting started. And at this time, we had two simple propositions. So the first was JSON as coin of the realm with our document model, so that users could easily change their schema by changing the object. And old and new schemas could coexist, and you could run multiple versions of your app on the same collection, also known as table. And this doesn't seem like a radical idea now. I'm sure the youngsters in the crowd are like, the hell is she talking about? But trust me, this was a big deal back then. And the second was a distributed database. We had big ambitions with this. Databases were not scalable in 2007. And so we introduced replica sets for durable storage and easy maintenance. And we made sharding of data available across these replica sets for performance and scalability. And we wanted nothing less than feature parity with the best databases of the day. But in the classic style of the innovator's dilemma, we didn't compete directly with relational databases. We did two things that they couldn't do: distribution and dynamic schema. So in 2007, AWS was so simple compared to what it is today. Two services on offer, S3, EC2. MongoDB was pretty simple too, but we were laser focused on the evolving needs of developers. And the basic needs of a developer in 2007, we believe, could be met with a few simple things: a database, a web server, a scripting language, and a few Linux instances chucked in for good measure. But really quickly, that just was not enough. And so the web had adopted JavaScript, culminating in frameworks like Next.js. Server-side went from your Perl scripts to Java to Node.js, and this just continues to evolve up and up with languages like Go, C#, and Rust. And then databases went from MySQL to highly optimized key value stores, and it ended up with full-blown NoSQL databases. So we've been very focused on solving problems from the beginning, and therefore I'm sure this eye chart, which it is, will be super helpful, assuming those at the back can read the font. Probably those at the front can't read the font either. So settle in, and I'm just going to go through every single one of these things on the page. We've got time. Let me see. Oh yeah, we've got plenty of time. Probably go out to the bar, get yourself a drink. Apparently there's a cigar bar next door as well. You can get a cigar. Oh, no idea. Anyway, just kidding. While I would love to take you through all this, every single development that we've made in the past 15 years, or we could even send you a life-sized photo, I'm going to focus on a couple of inflection points that's going to bring us to today. So our vision for a developer platform was evident from our inception, but this, of course, cannot be built overnight. When we were founded, as data needs were becoming more sophisticated, we would iterate and introduce a new, powerful way to manage data. And over the next 9 years, we were busy solidifying our mission-critical database and expanding our toolkits. And we realized that beyond a database, our customers needed strong operational capabilities and a cloud-forward approach. And of course, the clicker stops working because this is just my life. There we go. So leading up to 2016, as enterprises were pivoting to the cloud, we launched Atlas, which is our database as a service platform. And our customers could expand their development teams without worrying about the minutiae of managing a database. We took care of the management. This was a fully managed hosted service. DBAs are expensive, and those with cloud infrastructure experience are rare and even more expensive. And so we believe that our offering allowed our customers to innovate faster while we took care of the back office stuff, the minutiae, the administration, the management. And we've always known that our customers need more than just a database. Increasingly, developers need other tools and features, excuse me, such as fully integrated search, visualization capabilities, in-app analytics, etc. And these are usually disconnected. They're usually all over the place, making working with that data difficult and expensive. And as application requirements became more complex, we believe that you should be able to solve many different use cases without having to adopt new technologies every single time. And this is how we see the rise of the developer data platform. We are tightly integrating the services needed to build the next big thing into one unified platform. And not just any database, but a distributed database, because we are all approaching a petabyte of data, and some have exceeded it already. Now, I was told because this place was so big, I couldn't give away swag, but I'm going to ignore that. So if you want to come to the MongoDB booth, I'll make sure that the winner gets swag. So can anyone tell me what they think, what size a petabyte is? How would you represent a petabyte so that my mum could understand it? Just shout out. You in the front. Nope, the size. Like, how would you represent the size of a petabyte? Okay, I'll give you a t-shirt anyway. Go to the booth. So the examples that I found where it's like 11,000 4K movies, or 65 copies of the Library of Congress for the Americans in the room. Obviously, nobody else will get that. Or taking 4,000 photographs of yourself every day for the rest of your life, assuming you're going to live a fairly long time. If you drop dead tomorrow, that's screwed. You can't put a petabyte of data into a relational database. And we tend to toss out all this valuable data because we're not sure about the costs of storing it and managing it. And I regularly talk to prospective customers who say that they are spending more time managing and maintaining their data than innovating with it. I mean, what is the point of having this database with all this amazing data in it if all you're doing is managing it? You're just constantly cleaning house. You're never enjoying the contents of the house. But imagine if all of that data was integrated, queryable, and stored cost effectively. Doesn't matter how many photographs you take, I will still look like a criminal. Sorry. So because we see those as table stakes, data integrated, queryable, and stored cost effectively, you should have a unified platform that scales to your needs and allows you to use this data. And every application, every modern database needs to be secure. Thank you, that's the end of my talk. I did actually want this to be the first slide, but then it would have been a really short talk. So I think this is why they wanted me as a CISO to come and talk about this, because security is just my entire world. I love it, I'm a geek, I get paid to do a hobby. I couldn't be happier with what I'm doing. And I love working for MongoDB, so then, I'm up here talking completely outside my comfort zone. So I must love it a lot. So when my team first showed me this slide, we had security at the bottom. Thank you, marketing. And I said, let's move security to the top, because to my mind, as a CISO, I want our developers to have the time, the latitude, just, the freedom of the brain to be as innovative and disruptive as possible, rather than worrying about the security of their application. So we believe that the data platform has to be secure from the start, has to be scalable, and it has to be durable. And at the end of the day, there's a shared responsibility model as well. We'll build you the house, you furnish it, you lock the front door. It's a shared responsibility model. You'll need not only a database, though, you'll also need data access and search and mobile user experience to build that modern app that everybody wants. because the expectations of the customers are growing every day. So we want to make it easier for customers to work with and utilize their data. And security is inherent across all of our practices, and it shouldn't be a focus for customers. You should be out there innovating and disrupting. Shouldn't be worrying about security. So when we take on this heavy lifting, it's amazing what can be achieved when the effort is channeled into innovation. And we want to give you the infrastructure to enable you to dial up your level of security using things like queryable encryption, field-level encryption, encryption in disk, etc. And with a developer data platform, we believe that you get to make trade-offs, but security is not a trade-off. It is foundational. So I came here today to tell you about a data platform, developer data platform. We're finally at that slide, which is great. So what exactly is it? So we see the following things as non-negotiable tenets, especially to support scale and innovation in this economic climate in particular. So we start with this elegant developer experience, and that means a platform built on a modern data model, that's easy to work with, that developers want to work with, that developers love, fulfills their security requirements out of the box, can support an agile, responsive approach to development, is integrated with our existing platforms and toolkits, and supports all the most popular programming languages. And next, a developer data platform should have support for a wide variety of workloads. Excuse me. So from IoT to retail, we support our customer use cases. So for example, the automotive engineer could use time series collections to encode sensor data. I'm losing my voice. I knew this would happen. I told you, Joe. It's just water, unfortunately. Actually, I'm quite rare. You know the term unicorn, right? You know what that means by unicorn. Obviously, I'm not a unicorn. Thank you very much. Thank you, Andrew. But Scotland's national animal is the unicorn. I rest my case. Anyway, that's apropos to nothing. This is why they make me read these scripts, because I just go off script. So anyway, the automotive engineer can use time series collections to encode sensor data, and we've got many other business cases that you can read about on our website. For lack of a more sophisticated phrase, your application should just work. And lastly, and as you can imagine, the most important thing to me is your database should be secure and dependable. It should be resilient. It should maintain performance at a massive scale, as we've discussed, and it should be completely secure. Our marketing people didn't want me to use this stamp, and I ignored them. This is probably why I'm losing my voice. So this is secure by default, secure by design. And you need to have the confidence to use our database for your apps, for your critical apps. I come from critical infrastructure. I understand what is needed to keep something secure. However, there's a fundamental challenge that many of our customers are facing. You can only succeed with better abstractions. So think about high-level languages, the iPhone, databases, and the cloud. I wasn't expecting to lose my voice like this. I'm sorry. So MongoDB Atlas, our developer data platform, is the next great abstraction. Only a better abstraction can improve productivity and performance, so you can do more with less. And we love helping our customers solve problems so they can innovate faster. And one customer who really maximizes the breadth of our platform is Verizon. I came from the power industry. Communication is high up there in critical infrastructure as well. And they use IoT. So IoT demands access to the right data at the right time. And Verizon needed a dynamic data solution to unlock the potential of 5G for their applications by using the power of MongoDB's developer data platform and AWS. So if you want more information, click on the QR code. Actually, I should go back in case anybody wants to click on the QR code. All right, you have a time to click on it. So MongoDB Atlas is a leading unified developer data platform on AWS that allows you to build easier, iterate faster, and scale farther. And as you're in the thick of making decisions on the future of your business in this particular economic climate, I want to leave with a few thoughts. Scale or fail, because we're now dealing with petabytes of data, and that's growing daily. Enable innovative flexibility by offering important features that your customers want. And lastly, we provide a better set of abstractions to allow faster innovation at scale in all development organizations, big or small. So in conclusion, you can establish an integrated experience on a distributed core within a single security envelope, secure out the box, on any cloud. We are multi-cloud, with a diverse developer toolchain and with many third-party integration points, such as AWS Wavelength. And with that, thank God, because I don't have any voice left, I am going to introduce some of my colleagues on stage, and they'll be able to talk more detail on this. So we have Karen Hualmei, Principal Developer Advocate. Come on stage. Andrew Davidson, our SVP of Products, and Krista Brown, our Moderator and Executive Keynote Advisor. Hello.
Oh. Thank you, Lena.
Yay.
You have one? Okay.
I've got some. Thank you.
Well, I'm so excited to have all three of these folks here because, everybody's coming from a slightly different perspective. We've got the security angle, we've got the product angle, we've got developers covered. So we've got a lot of questions to get to, and checking the time. We may have time for some Q&A. So if people feel like they might have some questions, just start raising your hands. If we have time, what we will ask you to do, I guess there's some microphones in the aisle, so if we have time to go to that, if I see that there's some hands raised and we want to make use of that, I will cue you guys to get up and take, I see the mics right up front there. But to start, Andrew, I'm going to toss to you first. Are you ready? So what Lena was talking about, the developer data platform, we're kind of defining a new category here. And you and I have talked about this a little bit, and this was kind of a purposeful evolution. So can you talk us through what the journey has been to get to this point?
Totally. When going into this idea of thinking, how do you describe what you are when you're trying to really disrupt the industry? We landed on developer data platform, which I think captures the essence of it. But I was thinking, we've always, in so many ways, been the developer data platform. If you think about what Lena was just saying, the developer data platform of 2010 was to bring the document model to the rise of IaaS in its origin moment, and to make IaaS accessible to developers, to turn that distributed system into something that could allow you to build modern, elegant applications, drawn into the mobile revolution with the capabilities of geospatial, and in the years to come, the mission-critical use cases that our customers kept pulling out of us, causing us to keep investing multi-document ACID transactions. The shift to another level of abstraction with Atlas. Nobody wants to be plumbing anymore. People want to be thinking declaratively, describe my database infrastructure anywhere in the world across 100 regions, and just make it happen on demand, no downtime ever. But in the years to come, we realize on this foundation of a fully managed service with MongoDB Atlas, we can keep adding more and more capabilities more rapidly than ever before. And we realize that in 2022, developer data platform means the power of search at your fingertips, operational transactional, search, app-driven analytics, and the ability to synchronize data down to mobile devices, kiosks and tablets, and geospatial, multi-region, global deployments, and serverless and event-driven, all in a single platform that allows you to drive the vast majority of your applications and the vast majority of their needs with consistency. Governable. That's where you want to be.
Wonderful. And we're sitting here in front of a room full of, I assume, very enthusiastic AWS customers. So there could feasibly be a prospective customer that thinks, well, why don't I just deploy one of AWS's many databases in its own cloud? Are there instances, are there benefits that some folks might find in working with a developer data platform that allows you to use any cloud you choose?
It's a great question. Rather than talking about AWS services, which I think are great, we have a great relationship with AWS, I think it's important to remember that we live in a hybrid and multi-cloud world, and to really challenge this multi-decade shift in how we think about data. It's a secular long-term shift, and it means we have to be ubiquitous. We have to be everywhere, and that's going to mean every cloud provider. That's even going to mean on-prem. You know, many of our largest enterprise customers who started on-prem, some of them are still there. For them, MongoDB in so many ways was phase one of their cloud migration. You know, they were able to feel that they could get that agility of enabling modern development teams to move fast. They're doing it on-prem, and then the second they're ready to shift to AWS, we can migrate them in essentially a migrationless experience. They don't have to rewrite their application, and now they can take advantage of the full power of MongoDB Atlas and AWS. You know, being available in every cloud provider has a lot of advantages, but one thing I want to really be clear about is it doesn't mean lowest common denominator. We obsess about making Atlas on AWS as powerful and sophisticated as it can be. We work in close partnership with the AWS team to ensure that the services, the composability, Atlas being the best developer data platform available on AWS is critical to our strategy.
Great. And so, Karen, I'm going to toss to you now. Thinking about what Andrew just said, do developers really need a platform? So in other words, is there a sort of an evolution or some sort of mission critical need that has evolved, that has required this kind of, a developer data platform for developers to do their work?
As Andrew said, 10 years ago, you really didn't expect too much from your database. You just wanted to query the data, you wanted to have it there, you wanted to have it available, and you just didn't want your database to get in the way. But now having a data development platform, Andrew talked a lot about setting up infrastructure, having all of that security and infrastructure and being able to scale up and down, notifications, et cetera. Those are things that I don't have to do anymore as a developer. So I kind of think about it as three parts. It takes stuff off my plate so I could focus on writing functionality for my applications. But the other thing is it also has, we have triggers and serverless functions and GraphQL and data federation, and now this data platform allows me to connect to data so many different ways and use it in my application so many different ways. So it allows me to develop more. And then the third part is we also help you not write all the functionality you want to put in, because like for instance on our mobile side, a lot of that stuff is already baked in. That I don't have to worry about networking code and sort of the syncing and everything. That as part of a platform, all of that is just taken care of for me. So it lets me be more productive, but it also and it lets me program more, and it lets me do the other stuff less.
And frees you up to focus on innovation and new ideas.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Okay, so there's there's a best in breed strategy option, right, where you're kind of finding that tool or specific software solution to address a single use case or a challenge. What is the impact of having those many different distributed point solutions on developers first, and then I'll have a follow-up to that.
We were talking, in Lena's talk, she was talking about the ability to have search and other different sort of workloads on the same database. We were talking about a point solution like that. There are advantages in that, obviously, it keeps things simple, and it keeps things automated, and then, so as having a unified platform will allow you to have all those different workloads, but the other thing is that you can run everything off of live data, get insight into your data faster, and be able to work off of these things to share across different teams.
So the advantage of having all of the processes sort of consolidated rather than having this distributed network of different solutions for different challenges that's an advantage to developers. I assume also an advantage to, and Andrew weigh in too if you've got a thought on this, also an advantage to innovation. Kind of clears out the muck, right?
Totally. I want to be explicit about something. It really feels good. We as technical people, we love the idea of a right tool for the right job. And nobody here wants to say, don't use a bunch of different tools. The question is, have we been conditioned to believe that for every feature in our applications, we should be using a different system on the back end and sprawling across all these different engines and having to deal with the ETL, the brittle pipelines that make that possible, the different APIs, all the synchronization delays, the lock-in that comes from it, the cost and duplication? Or can we invert this whole idea? Can we have the power of a transactional data store that can do app-driven analytics, that has the power of search, and performs like a cache without having to sprawl across a bunch of different systems? This is really where we see our customers feeling like, wow, yes, I can move super fast. I can add features into my applications over time, all within the same engine on the back end, all through this elegant document interface. And that just, it totally allows for that innovation. We see it left and right across all of our 37,000 customers.
Great. And Lena, if I can I go to you? And first, can we just give her a round of applause, because there's nothing like the show must go on, and she really got through.
Cigars.
Thank you. A true pro. But thinking about going back to, if you've got a bunch of different point solutions, is there some level of security risk that's involved there? Because you're requiring data to be shared between different point solutions. Does this imply some kind of, does it open you up to some vulnerabilities? And what would be the risks that you might identify?
So, any tool that you deploy in your arsenal is also, in my world anyway, a possible attack vector. So every time, you were talking about sprawl, that's just my worst nightmare. It's like, with the first week that I started, I think I met with Andrew and a couple of other people and said, where are your crown jewels? That's what we need to protect. And obviously we know where our data is, but a lot of customers don't. There's just so much sprawl, there's so much copies of things everywhere, and you think you know where everything is. Let's take Log4j, which has been beaten to death, but anyway, let's take that. If you have a good database of where your tool sets are, and you've not got that sprawl, and you're keeping things in a more comprehensive manner, it's less likely to give me anxiety.
Keep you up at night a little bit.
Exactly.
How are we feeling? Do folks feel like they might have some questions? Should I reserve some time for that? Just give me a show of hands. If not, I will keep plowing ahead. Okay, so we've talked about, I know what I want to go to next. The shortage of developers. And there's a lot of numbers behind this, statistics, you've probably all heard them. IDC predicts a shortfall of 4 million developers by 2025. In 2021, it was a 1.4 million shortfall. The BLS is saying that nearly 200,000 developer jobs will need filling every year through the end of the decade. And this doesn't just have, this has business impact. Companies risk losing $8.5 trillion in revenue because of lack of skilled talent. And for the developers themselves, tasks are getting increasingly complex, and you're relying on fewer people to carry these out. So with that in mind, now that the statistics lesson is over, what trends, Andrew, Karen, feel free to weigh in here, what trends are you seeing in the rise of a developer data platform concept that could combat this challenge of a lack of developers?
Well, really, like Karen was saying a moment ago, you have to be able to do more with less. People have to be focusing on the differentiating parts of their business and not the plumbing, and that allows small teams to move very fast and define the software that truly defines what makes businesses unique today. Every business is defined by its software today, whether it's interfacing with customers or the internal business processes or interfacing with other companies. And so to enable small teams to do a lot, that is the dream. We all want the two pizza teams moving fast. They're able to do it all on their own. The question is, how do you do that without the sprawl that keeps people like Lena awake at night? And that's where you need the standard building blocks, the best in breed abstractions that you can compose with, like a developer data platform, as well as the incredible set of capabilities that AWS brings to bear. That allows people, in the scrappy sense, to experience the meaning of shipping software and iterating on that software and meeting market fast, responding to threats, taking advantage of new opportunities. And that's just the only way that's going to make sense for today. And it needs to be easier and easier for the next generation of developers to add into this and join these teams. That's where we spend a lot of time.
I actually think that when I started developing, I'm not going to age myself, but it used to be hard. It used to be really, really hard. And then now developing, Lena talks a lot about like abstraction. Now it's getting easier because of abstraction. We talk a lot about developer velocity. If I don't have to manage infrastructure, I can start writing code. Well, the other thing about that is there's so many different options of things that I can do because I'm enabled to do this on this platform. So for instance, if I have an application and I want to create, somebody signs into my application, I could do authentication and triggers and functions integrated with AWS SES to send them some functionality really quickly, serverlessly, so it can meet high demand and go down. And then I look really good to my boss because I did that. And then that gets kind of sticky. I have this little bit of success. I know how it works, and then I start getting really creative with things. So I think if we want to address the need for more developers in the world, we need to people, they're going to become more productive so they can feel better about themselves, but it's also going to be more fun again. And so every time I develop, there's like a, gosh darn it, and then I'm like, yay! And my boss is over here, and he's gotten many Slack messages from me, like, he's in Ireland, so it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and me going, this is the best video game boss ever. I just beat the best boss level ever, so.
Well, yeah, just to keep it in perspective, there are 150,000 people signing up for MongoDB Atlas every single month, and probably even more than that, enrolling in our massive online courses with MongoDB University. And this is this testament that full spectrum from someone learning to code for the first time, maybe building a prototype that they can quickly ship in a night, all the way up to the largest mission-critical applications in the world, the full spectrum, all on a single platform that lets you grow with it, just like AWS. I think it's such a two peas in a pod type relationship.
You mentioned university, and we should get back to university, but I do want to say that, so my job is to teach developers how to do things. So we have really nice blogs and tutorials and videos online, and in our team of developer advocates, they'll teach you how to write applications. They'll share with you the code, but then if you can code along with us, then you can start feeling that success that way. So that's been something that we really find that people within our community who are following along with these blogs and tutorials, they start connecting with each other, they start connecting with us, and then they start teaching us again. And then we got this really nice flywheel about sort of their use case, which inspires more.
That's great.
Yeah.
And to the point of MongoDB University, if anybody in here would be interested, it was newly, I guess, relaunched would be the way to describe it just a couple of weeks ago. It's new courses, it's a new ungated platform, integrated environment. You can actually, to your point about, you're not just learning, you're going to be able to actually put it to practice and really let it sink in. And certifications in hours, not weeks or months. So
and
you
it's
can,
free.
Yeah.
Completely free.
Yep. So glad we got that. So yeah, please join us on that platform as well. And to close out, I think we would be remiss not to acknowledge that we are entering or have entered a phase of tightening a little bit, some economic conditions that aren't as friendly as they have been in years past. So companies are making tough decisions. Many of you have probably already had to make some of those tough decisions. So if we could just go down the line quickly, if you've got a thought on one piece of advice that you might give to this room as folks are navigating through this time. And then, it might be just a couple of months, who knows? It could be a couple of years. So as we, sort of look to the future, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, we have to be radically focused now, like never before, on where the puck is going for our businesses and execute on those initiatives. Those are the critical lifebloods of our businesses. And that's where we spend so much of our time with our customers and optimizing and helping them move fast and continuing to just focus with that customer obsession on enabling them to get to that next level.
Identifying the challenges and offering a solution.
Absolutely. Getting
to
ahead of risks, optimizing scale, but most importantly, moving their businesses to where they need to be. Where is your business going to need you to be in a couple of years' time? You and your strategic partners who are thinking about those questions, focus on investing towards that. That's the most important thing today.
Anyone else? Lena?
Yeah, one thing that I did from a practical standpoint within my team anyway, we developed a security champions program. So we have over 100 volunteers globally now who are the eyes and ears of my security program in addition to their normal job. And that's literally the definition of doing, more with this.
I would just say keep learning, keep developing, keep taking advantage of the applications of tomorrow. We can't even imagine right now, and it's.
You think about where we were 5 years ago, and it moves at lightning speed.
So, and learning is fun. So
it is indeed.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you all for being with us here today. Thank you again to Lena, Andrew, Karen, and thank you. And we will all be around if you guys have any questions afterwards. But enjoy the rest of your time here. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.